Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Finally, the episode I'm sure you've been waiting for. We are going to talk about the landlords that get to 5+ rental units. Let's welcome Dana, the CEO of Hemlane. How you doing, Dana?
Great. Thanks, Michael, for having me.
Absolutely. So we finally got to the one that we wanted to talk about. You've been in the business for a couple of years now. You've been continuing to find good or great deals. You've got more than 5 units. The first thing I got to tell you, if you get to that point, congratulations. You do have a decent portfolio now, but you also have process and procedures. That's the big difference I see once people get to 5 is they've out of firefighting mode and they're like, nope, here are the rules of the road. Here we go. That's what I see.
Yeah. The other thing I see, which is exciting about 5, is suddenly financials. That's really where that's the people who ask the most about our financials and how do I drill down and see the utility bills broken down and this and that. That's usually the people with 5+ rentals who own more than 5. And what's exciting about that is data. You basically know how to set up your entities. Are you going to do a series LLC? Are you going to do multiple? What are the pros and cons? Everything you have basically set up once you have 5. So you have that, then it's suddenly looking at the financials to say, where's my next 5 going to be? And that's exciting, the exciting part, because you have some data and it's your own personal data and experience. And a lot of times I never trust anyone else's data except my own of like what I'm doing and what's working. And then once you find that, you dig for more gold. Like once you figure out what's working, it's like, okay, I'm going to invest in this. I know this works for me. And so that's one thing that I do love about 5+. When you have under 5, you don't have enough data, but the more that you build, the more that you learn what's working. I mean, Michael, you're a perfect example. There are so many real estate investors out there that say, do not invest in California. It's terrible. And why would you ever do it? And you do it very successfully because you know your market and you know what works and what doesn't work there. And you have the data for it. And so that's actually what's to me most exciting about the 5+. And then obviously the processes and procedures start coming and they have to change over time because you can get by with 5-10 properties managing yourself. But the second that you get to, it's really 50+ where people start saying, okay, do I bring an employee in-house? Like, do I actually have an employee? Do I use a larger property manager who works with large clients like me? Then you start asking other questions. When you get to like over 50 marker, I see. But yeah, once you get to 5, what excites me is the financials and looking back at the numbers and seeing what's working for you, what's not, and being able to optimize things of like, okay, now I have enough HVAC bills to know like who's ripping me off and who's not. Now I have enough plumbing bills to see that. All of that kind of stuff plays a part. And the only thing I would warn is if you're in like that 5 to 10 marker, sometimes I see what happens is people make assumptions based off of like 1 or 2 cases because they don't have a large enough data set. But I still think you're building up data, which is really important, and have a record of things to know, hey, what is working, what's not, and what's going to make me successful to quit my full-time job and to have the real estate investments.
Yeah, the big thing that I see when you get sort of north of 5 and certainly north of 10 is you're actually spending less time in the business, right? Because you just can't do it the way you were doing it with 2 or 3 because it would just break. So, most of the landlords that I talk to kind of, certainly north of 20, they're spending less time in their business than they did when they had 5. Because there's like, we can't do it any other way. There has to be process and procedures. There has to be expectations. Very, very few things are one-off, right? The problem when you got 3 units, for example, is everything can be an exception. When you got 5, 10, 20 units, exceptions go out the window, except very rarely. And you do have history and you have relationships and when you have those many units, you are looking back at what's going on because you are I've called 7 plumbers in the last year. Which one was fastest, best quality? Anybody have reworked? Who ripped me off? Who didn't? You're able to really manage the overall income statement of your business and really build quality network or relationships. It's where it becomes fun, right? It's a hobby at 1. I like that word. Like 2 to 5 it kind of be that part-time job, but it can become really lucrative when you get past that marker. I think that's a good analogy you shared earlier.
Yeah. And then one other thing I would say about it that is exciting about, and it's not necessarily at 5, I think it's usually around like 15 to 20 that I see, is if you are managing yourself, you actually get some sort of admin to do administrative stuff for you, or you are really saying, yes, I am getting a leasing agent to help with the showings, or like you're just setting up these processes, or I am getting 24/7 repair coordination, like Hemline, you guys coordinate that now. People suddenly get to this point where they start delegating.
Yes.
And you can't really do that when you have one, because I mean, you can, but it's like, and they're going to be working for other people. You're not going to be able to ensure that quality because you're such a small part of that person's business. But the second that you start having 15 plus units and giving them their time is spent more on your portfolio than anyone else's, whether it's a property manager, whether it is a leasing agent, whether it's a contractor like a handyman, suddenly your voice gets heard. And that's exciting. And then suddenly you're like, wow, I don't have to do it all. And one thing about property management is you have to be a jack of all trades, right? Because you have to be good at sales to get tenants in the door. You have to be good at, you have to be a lawyer because you have to know lease contracts. You have to be an accountant because you have to know all the financials. You have to be a contractor and know maintenance and troubleshooting. But once you get to this stage, then you can really say, what do I hate doing?
Yeah.
Let me find someone who does it better than I do.
Yeah.
And, you know, for everyone, it's something different. Most people, most real estate investors I meet love financials. They're like, nope, I want rent to go to me. I want to manage all of those books. I want to see everything on my numbers. Now it's general, not some just hire an accountant for the system, but it's really like, then, hey, you don't like to do repair coordination and plumbing? Great, you don't have to do it. Or you don't like to do leasing. And suddenly you can, all the things you didn't like doing because you weren't good at them, you don't have to do anymore. But when you have one, that doesn't really happen. You're kind of doing it all.
I love that. Folks, and again, don't forget there's a free link to a 30-day trial below of Hemline. You can actually go to my free course and get the PDF of a full 30 days. And if you're in my course, there's actually videos of Dana walking you through the system. So Dana, tell them where they can get that as well.
Yeah, you can go to www.hemlane.com, HEMLANE.com, and mention Michael Zuber or One Rental at a Time, either one. And you get 20% off your first year. Wow. So make sure you do recommend or mention that.
Very cool, Dana. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for talking to us from Africa. You have a wonderful, I guess it's evening there, right? What time is it?
It's evening. Yeah, it is 7 p.m. It's dinner time.
Dinner time. Well, have a great dinner. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk in a couple of weeks.
Great. Thanks so much, Michael. Talk to you then. Bye.